there's no attendees yet. So let me talk to Bengsu. Yeah, okay, they're coming.
Good day, good day. Thank you for everybody who's signed up and joining us for today's webinar. We still are waiting on two of our speakers to connect. They're probably resolving some technical issues. Oh, there's one just now. Welcome, Jambe.
Hi.
Ryan, have you heard from Patricia? Do you know if she's connected?
No, she's not connecting. She had a problem, so she's not joining us. Yep.
Okay, then we can kick off, as it were. Welcome everybody. Welcome our dear guests and participants. Today we want to discuss generally the implications of how technology might be of use in the days to come, and how everybody's world got turned upside down with the recent events. Of course, this is rather standard to say because there seems to be something going on every other week. That seems to cause some major upheaval, but of course the most recent one has serious health implications and implications as to how we conduct our businesses. Before we get going, shall we just have a quick round of introductions, or I'll just basically try to summarize the vast experiences that all of our panelists have in a very brief sort of statement, and should I miss, and I probably will miss something, you might want to elaborate on it later words. Jennifer has just quite recently, I believe, started her own very inspiring enterprise in the cosmetics business. She's heading an effort to emphasize the virtues and benefits of more natural and indigenous properties of makeup, I believe. Is that a proper or correct assumption, or have I just made a big mess of it?
No, you're on the right track. That's for sure. So we talk about our brand as being exists to represent faces that have yet been placed across mainstream media forever, which is Indigenous faces. So our vision and mission of our brand is helping every Indigenous kid on the planet see and feel their enormous value in the world while we craft sustainable color cosmetics. And then the second layer of our journey has been, we're doing this really tapping into Indigenous wisdom, the wisdom of our ancestors based on sustainability. We truly believe that our people are the OGs of sustainability, and we're using an Indigenous worldview as we craft these new sustainable color cosmetics.
That's actually something I'm going to readdress a bit later, because that sounds very interesting with the more sort of sustainability effect. So I assume you're also using age-old and almost ancient recipes for some of the products that you're offering. But anyway, we'll get back to that in a bit. Then we also have Murat. Murat is an omni-channel transformation expert who formerly was with the Association of Business Persons and Industrials in Turkey. So he helped conduct studies on the e-retail landscape here locally in Turkey. And most recently, he's lending his hand and experience to the Estee Lauder, House of Estee Lauder here in Turkey. I hope I haven't missed anything out there.
No, that was a good summary. I liked it.
Brilliant, thanks. And finally, well, not finally, but as he is another guest of ours, I'll skip Ryan for now. John is with Flormar. Flormar, of course, has its roots in Italy, but then got transplanted into Turkey. Now is a part of, I believe, the French Rocher group. So, and he's leading the marketing team here in Turkey. Is that correct, or do you also have farther reaching tentacles?
No, correct. So hello, everyone. It is a pleasure to be here. So awaiting the questions.
The question will be coming quick and fast. And finally, and not least, we have Rayan Godol, who's joining us from Brazil. I actually skipped to say that Jennifer is up in Canada. Murat and Can and myself are in Turkey, as last I knew, but hopefully we still are. Everybody's in Turkey. And Ryan is in Brazil. And Ryan is here as a expert on FMCG, and of course a part member of our gracious hosts, Pulpo AR, who are providing some technical support to all of us in a different capacity. There, Ryan again.
Hey, Fahar, thank you. Yeah, thank you. It's a pleasure to join you here, and let's start throwing some questions to these experts and see what their visions are for the future of beauty.
Or let's get going. Now, the obvious elephant in the room is, of course, the new matter with the coronavirus. The spread of the coronavirus has diminished pretty much all social interactions, and thus, of course, had a tremendous effect on the way we do commerce. Now, considering that almost every facade of life has been impacted by this, how do you see your own way of doing business being impacted by what we would consider to be the new normal? Jennifer, would you like to have a go at it?
Sure. So unlike businesses that weren't already online or in the e-com sphere, we were, I think, born to be in this spot. I didn't realize it would take a global pandemic. And if you were paying attention to the media over the last 4 weeks throughout the month of June with the whole Black Lives Matter or this massive social unrest that was happening in the world with relation to that community, we as Indigenous people were included in a lot of those kinds of conversations about people of color. And so because of those two major events, we have just seen an enormous amount of growth in our company over the last few weeks, and it's unfortunate that it took these two things, but we're really just trying to take this opportunity, you know, and learn what we can still staying on true to our path of our vision and mission and what we're doing and the products that we're trying to create, but I think a lot of entrepreneurs could relate to the concept of timing is everything. And I'm just grateful that I get to lead and be a part of a brand that was paying attention to social issues before it became popular to pay attention to social issues. And I'm glad that we're a brand that was on a path of sustainability when we all know people are questioning the choices and decisions that they make every single day. And the world, or consumers in general, have the power. Like, the power lies within their hands, and they make major decisions at every checkout that they visit. And we're grateful that the people do have that kind of power.
So yes, the opportunity has actually presented itself, as it were, when you decided to start the company. You found yourself in an environment where the social awareness and the issues started to take the foreground, and of course now the deliverance of your products and the method of delivery of the products to the end consumer is dramatically altered by this other external issue that's pretty much a global issue. Maybe Murat, as the resident expert on e-retail, might like to comment on how the sphere is sort of presenting itself in this respect.
Sure. Thanks. Let me start by going back a little bit. So first, that was traditional retail, which was mostly offline. And then with the introduction of internet first, and then smartphones, mobile phones, etc., we saw a technological paradigm shift that changed the way we interact with brands, etc. And e-commerce, online retail came into our lives, and online-born retailers became big disruptors. And traditional retail started catching up on this trend and understanding the difference between channels, etc. And right now, what we're seeing with the pandemic is another paradigm shift, we believe, which is changing the consumer behavior significantly and accelerating this push, this switch between channels to maybe 4, 5, 6 years ahead all of a sudden. And the mix of business of a lot of the traditional retailers, a lot of the historically offline businesses are shifting either through their own online channels or through their partners or platforms. Like you can call these players, you can call these e-tailers, you can call them their websites, etc. So we're experiencing very fast behavioral change with this pandemic, and it's going to be interesting to see how quickly the industry adapts.
Right off the bat from there, I mean, with the paradigm shift in the consumer side and in an industry known to be virtually in a touch relationship, in a very touchy-feely relationship with its consumers, how does Flormar reach its consumers now with not having to, having to put a barrier between themselves, between the staff, between the consultants, the beauticians and the consumers basically, and with these added barriers, how do you get that finesse, the feeling, and how is this new reality affecting the way business is done, John?
It is bitter. So it's not very tasty, first of all, because when you are in an industry, especially in color cosmetics, it is very related with socializing. Because the more women or the more people get socialized, so go out, have some dinner or go to cinema, whatever it is, they need to consume more of our products that we offer. It doesn't have to be Flormar branded. Of course, it's a makeup. So because this is not easy, first of all. What we see, there is a shift from effect to care. So makeup is more on the effect side. And then people during this time where they spend more time at home, they focused on care side. So I was reading some papers, and what we see, small domestic appliances increased. So people started to make more bread at home and share on Instagram, or they take care of their nails or face, or they buy more furniture and things like that. So this is not very tasty. The second thing about makeup is you need to touch 5 senses. You need to try that shade on your skin. You need to discuss it with your friend or your beauty consultant. So this is also another barrier, because right now, by regulation, we don't use testers. So we use tester papers and we show shades on that papers through our beauty assistants. But this is kind of barrier. And last but not least, now we have masks on our face. So, you know, lips are not in favor on this period. Opposingly, eyes become more important, etc., etc. So, of course, we try to shift our business more on the online side. Of course, we have seen a significant increase on the online side. But when you compare the total picture, of course, it's not enough for us for now. What it could be happening, so it's a blue area, it's bluer. So, but we wish that it's going to recover each and every day more and more. And also, we are going to adapt ourselves to this new normal. So basically, this is the summary from Flormar's perspective.
So, I mean, this period of self-imposed or government-imposed isolation has allowed people to reflect, and as you so wonderfully said, most of us have gone into a state of self-care almost. So we've started cooking our own dishes. We started breaking our own bread. Maybe even going back to recipes for skincare that's more traditional, more old, and more natural and sustainable. Maybe this sort of back to roots proposal, or back to roots method of living is the way forward for new startups like Jennifer's, or even for multinational conglomerates like Flormar or Estée Lauder. So the call for more naturalness, or more humane, or by humane, or humanistic rather, not humane but humanistic products. I mean, obviously these changes had to be implemented very quickly because the virus spread very quickly, and the world got upended very quickly. But do you believe that most of these new preferences are going to be permanent? I mean, will we forever, as John said, maybe focus on our eyes and eyelashes and on the upper area of our faces, our brows, for example? I've got a huge brow, so I might as well look into dampening my brow. But I mean, is that something that we should be considering, or can we hope to ease these extreme measures in some future period? What's your take on it? Again, we can start off the round with Jennifer.
Yeah, so that obviously we are a lipstick brand, and that, you know, as the founder, I was, oh my goodness, what is this going to mean? Masks, you know, and I'm constantly trying to think of how that will impact what we're doing. But at our company, data is king, and I'm in awe and shock and awe every single week when we just look at our numbers, and you know, we're up in thousands of % in selling lipstick online to people that can't go out and have to put masks on their face. So we are obviously the anomaly of what's happening in the world right now. But you know, again, we women, we have to be on Zoom calls. We still have to have meetings with people on Zoom. So we still, I am grateful we can wear our lipstick there. So I think overall, the idea of focusing on the eye will be the trend of what's moving forward. We also know for sure that the idea of cleanliness and purity, and so incorporating ingredients that come with antibacterial properties into products is going to be huge and going forward. And of course, as a brand, we're looking at that with our R&D teams right now of what we can do and look to, again, traditional ways of building products using older ideas. It's really interesting where we come from, because the entire scientific method is based on Western science, and doesn't allow for actually an indigenous worldview to be included in their way of thinking. But the two groups of people that we are constantly working with are coming from both sides. So I love that we will be a brand that is at this perfect intersection that finds a perfect harmonious marriage between both ideas as we're creating and building products. So again, we are definitely not, I guess, the norm of what's happening in the industry, and still grateful people are buying our lipsticks, but of course looking at incorporating other products. We do have a brow product that we're working on right now and creating that to be more sustainable. But again, we'll look at the eyes for the future, definitely.
Jen, let me ask you a question. So you, were you operating exclusively in online, or you were also operating through physical stores before?
Yeah, no, we are, I would like 99.4% online. We have a few, like very select handful of boutiques that were actually personal friends, and that's the only reason that we're doing that. We didn't want to go in using any of those distribution channels until we mastered our community that we've built online. So if you'll see, we were built on social media, and we have such a strong engagement with the community that we've built there. And that community, that's what we call our customers at Cheekbone Beauty. They're not customers, they're our community. And for us, that relationship with them was so important, as well as figuring out and making things that they want and need versus, you know, that we know now the trend is not for the beauty industry to dictate what consumers want and need. That has shifted since the birth of social media, where consumers are now telling us what the brands need to be making. And even as an indie brand, we're definitely following that suit for sure.
Okay, so
Right.
opposed to those brands that were having only the physical stores, you were already working online, right? So you benefit from the movement of, you know, shutting down the physical stores and people starting buying more online. In Canada, how is the opening of these stores now? And do you believe that this increase or this growth you have had that probably had some causes rooted to the quarantine will continue, or you expect to have another shift of people going back from the online, going back to the physical stores?
Yeah, I mean, if I could predict the future on all of those things, that would be amazing, but I can't. But what my gut is telling me is that we're going to experience nothing but continued online growth. And as a brand, we are fully focused on mastering any technology that we can get our hands on to make our customer, our community's experience just that much better and easier for them to shop online and safer. Like this is there's this need right now, and you see it throughout any online platforms or media outlets. It's just humans just want to get back to the way things were, but that's not going to happen. Like realistically, we know that's not going to happen. It is unsafe the way things were. And so it will be this process of us, you know, as a brand trying to engage with our community to make that process for this, I hate the term new normal as well, I know everyone does, but to make that process as easy as possible for them and us, for us as a brand to be like this soft place for them to land, to figure that out using technology.
Ryan, actually, I hadn't forgotten about you. I was going to pivot to specifically your point of interest. I mean, with the way things are and with the obvious barriers that we're facing, technology is offering some sort of solutions to the problems. And specifically in Brazil, you had some experience with how technology was applied. And of course, I mean, John and Murat can also jump in this. Some local representation of technology here in Turkey is also providing some sort of solutions in this. Would you care to elaborate on how the tech gods might be smiling upon us, even though lipsticks are probably by now mask safe and they don't rub off on the masks yet, or they might mask proof lipsticks and stuff like that. But we do actually have a need for some technology to provide us with solutions on a more consumer end. Ryan?
Oh, sorry, it was directed to me. So yeah, what we saw is that the majority of stores that were only in a physical channel, they suffered and then tried to pivot to going online as quick as they could. But of course, they lost a little bit of the time. And those who were like Jen, operating exclusively on the online or mostly on the online, they benefited a lot. But you know, I think that now with the everyone hating the new normal, one of the parts of the new normal will be probably the touchless of products in the stores. So avoiding to touch the products, and this is one of the barriers. Like Chen was saying, you know, how it's the the consultancy going to support you to choose a new shade, or if you cannot touch the product. It was a problem already with the samplers being forbidden, but now it's going to be even worse because you cannot touch the product. In most of the countries, the policies are going to be like that. And I think this is where technology will come to support, to increase the experience of the consumers in store,
John, have you found a way to overcome this obvious lack of applied contact and application issue?
No, of course not yet. And basically, coming back to your previous question, this is not the first pandemic, and it will be not the last one. So basically, when we look at just a quick internet search, starting from 1350s, we had Black Death, flu, plague, AIDS, Asian flu, Hong Kong flu, whatever, cholera. So we always had these issues throughout human history, and every time it had affected our social and economical life. So this will be the same, but that doesn't mean that it would change everything that we need to have. So I cannot predict the future. As we discussed before, it's $1 billion question, right? So I don't have the answer, but what I can say is some simple things become accessible luxury right now. For example, going out with friends or going to a movie or trying a simple lipstick on your lip would become a lux. It would be a privilege. Of course, what we try to do as businesses, we try to replicate that experience. But in some scenarios, yes, you can replicate. It would be as realistic as possible, but in some cases it is not. So for example, a couple of days ago, I was on the field and visiting some customers, and what I've seen some consumers that even though there's a restriction, they're sneaking and trying the lipstick. So maybe in the future, we are going to certificate retail points. I don't know. We will say that, okay, this is the certification. So in these areas, you can do whatever you want because they have the, blue flag. So, in the summer places, there's blue flag areas and none. So maybe there would be a solution like that. That doesn't mean that it is black or white. It's going to be a gray. So digital will rise by nature. Consumers become more lazy by nature. Everything will become more convenient. But on the other hand, of course, we are human, so we would like to go back to our normal. We would like to chat with friends, go out with them, try the new things. So basically, I am a guy which my view is a bit in between. And my heart says the more time passes, the more things would get normal. Because I don't know, when you go back to 1980s, AIDS, HIV was the highest topic. So now it's a vaccine issue. It's not a big issue. So I am sure this coronavirus would become or would be normalized, like flu, influenza. So let's wait and see. So it's hard for people, for everyone, socially and business-wise, to stay calm and to ride on the wave. So I'm more on that side. For example, on nails, virtual assistants would work because trying the shades on your nails, it's a good compromise. But when it comes to your skin tone, your face, because there is planned purchase and unplanned purchase, which is more impulse, and we need to also fulfill the impulse side of makeup. So sometimes you just buy product just because. Jennifer, they're doing business on lipstick. So lipstick is something, it's not always planned. Most of the time it's impulse. You like the shade. You like the shade because today you're more tanned, whatever it is. So we also need to fulfill that area, and it's not easy. It's not easy to fulfill with the technology. So let's wait and see.
Yes, I see that the sun is starting to shine on Murat, and before he melts, I'm going to ask him a question on this. I mean, with the impact.
Yeah, I've been switching places. I think I'm good now, though. Almost. There you go.
With all of this talk of on surfing the wave of change, Murat seems to have the most surf-worthy weather. When it comes to retailers, and especially e-retail, e-commerce, of course, I mean, we have the giants like Amazon and eBay and all the other, right? Now, these other players, of course, everybody's vying for some sort of marketplace, and they're trying to push each other out. They're trying to bring the best thing into the best novelty, rather, and that's actually what it is. I mean, when you democratize the product, that's what I like to call this. I mean, I don't like the term mass because it's sort of denigrating. You say it's some sort of mass product. I rather like democratization of products. I mean, the most people actually get to use it, but it also lowers the barrier for the product and makes it readily available, and rather too readily available. And as John was saying, I mean, there needs to be some sort of experience about this, some sort of exclusivity about this. So even if you're buying a lipstick, which I mean, I have to confess, I don't know the average price of lipstick anymore, but I mean, you can buy something that's a bit more standard product, or you can buy something that's more exclusive. So you might want to channel your daily purchases for something that's perishable and something that you just want to try and it doesn't really bother you. It's okay to online, but if you want to go and try something that's long lasting, that has lots of perks to it, and maybe then you need some consultants to actually try it on you and make that whole shopping of another experience. So before I leave sort of the mic to Murat, I know that Ryan in Sao Paulo has some of the best shopping malls, and the shopping experiences are bizarrely wonderful and luxurious over there. So you better think of a way to elaborate on how the shopping experience will transform once people are allowed back into the malls. But Murat, firstly, with this new e-retail trend, do you think it will be the next big sort of technological jump that will come out of this?
Yeah, as an ex-consultant who spent years preaching the omnichannel transformation trends, etc., and also I've been lucky to first be on the online retail side. I was with Naspers and then with eBay, worked with several of the pure players, as we call them in Turkey, before switching over to the traditional retailer side with Este. I've been lucky enough to see both sides of it. And previously, people have been looking at it traditional retail versus online retail. And the last few years, we've been trying to tell everyone that there is no traditional versus online versus physical, etc. anymore. It's the new retail. And that's the paradigm shift that this essentially consumer behavior change is accelerating. It's not about changing something drastically or totally at the moment. This has been happening for some time now. It's just getting accelerated, jumping ahead maybe 5-6 years, which is catching a lot of people by surprise or off guard. But it's just a big leap forward. And I don't think it's fair to say that physical is going to go away, online is going to be king, or vice versa. I think it's going to be, my personal opinion, it's going to be a mesh between the two. The lines between channels are fading. And, you know, for years we've been saying digital transformation is coming, push marketing out, pull marketing in, consumer behavior is very important, data is very important. You have to understand your new consumer journey. You have to understand how they behave, and consumer is going to dictate your strategy. You're not going to be able to dictate consumer's lifestyle anymore. And all of a sudden, all of those changes are happening very, very quickly, and people are trying to catch up. So yeah, I think a lot of the trends that come with this paradigm shift are here to stay. At some point, it's going to balance. I mean, I always give this example, if it was at a level of 3, and because of the pandemic jumped to a level of 10, unlikely that it's going to stay at a level 10. It's probably going to balance out or at somewhere between 7, 8, something like that. It's not going to go back to 3, that's for sure, because a lot of the people are now getting a better grasp of the different value propositions of the different channels. Previously, purely offline people are meeting online for the first time, and they're seeing the convenience side of it. And online people are now, because of necessities, are seeing even better services in terms of supply chain, in terms of same-day deliveries, in terms of augmented realities. Previously, when we looked at all these categories, for example, FMCG was very quick to jump on the wagon because you know your product. You don't necessarily have to go try it in the store. Shoes and textile, etc., caught on pretty much right afterwards. Because what's the difference between physical stores and online? Instant gratification is number one, and the other one is being able to touch and being able to try things out. But those retailers or those platforms, online platforms that made return processing so easy and consumer care so easy, meant that I could order 9 pairs of shoes, have them delivered to my home the next day, try them out, and return 8 and just stick with 1. It took time for people to get used to it, and it took time to retailers to put the supply chain operations in place so that, you know, that process is still profitable in the end. But once people get the hang of it, now it's there to stay, and a lot of people do it. It improves your selection, it improves your optimization. From a consumer perspective, it's very convenient. It just comes to your home, etc. From a cosmetics and beauty perspective, the next big things are going to be, of course, you know, have products delivered to your home and then return them is not necessarily feasible because these are hygiene products. But then what do we have to do? We have to try to see how much, to what extent we can replicate the in-store experience in the online platforms. That means information, that means how-to videos, that means content, rating and reviews, and of course, augmented reality, to the extent that it can replicate that sort of, how is it going to look on my face thing. It's similar with sunglasses, it's similar with cosmetics, etc. So a lot of those things are going to get accelerated, and that's part of the common denominator that brings us all to this panel too, because, you know, we got introduced to each other through how we're trying new things with augmented reality, in essence, to replicate that user experience online.
May I jump in and add a couple things to Murat? I think he gave a great picture. From my point of view, there are a couple things that would be interesting. I think in the next version, the main competition is between marketplaces and search engines, because I think search engine is going to become the new marketplaces. This is something that we need to discuss starting from now. The second thing is, if we are not going to close down all the brands that has been, selling in marketplaces, by nature, they need to go to product differentiation. It's like the things that we see in offline world is going to happen in online world, because if you are giving all the control of your brand to a retailer, it doesn't matter if it's offline or online, that means you're in danger with your margins. So by nature, you need to protect yourselves. This is a defense system. So I think the product differentiation will rise. So there are two things that I think that could be interesting for the future. One is, as I said, the competition between marketplaces, giants, and search engines. And the second one is the product differentiation that could be implemented to exclusive online stores and non-exclusive online stores. So just putting on the table.
I'll take that right off the table. It's a very good issue. It's actually by taking it off the table, I don't mean I move it to the side. It's rightly put on the table. It's a good thing to consider and to keep in mind, because these gargantuan online retailers and platforms are a blessing and also a menace. I mean, it's a two-edged sword either way you work it. So somehow we have to learn to hold it in, work with them, and still keep our distances and still learn how to balance it. But it's something that was pointed out by Murat, and that's rather interesting. I mean, this whole issue of return policies and returning the products. I mean, I'm of a generation that we were part of the internet revolution, so we started with this whole internet chat rooms and MRRCs and ICQs and stuff like that. But when we started doing the purchasing, of course, I remember getting my first couple of CDs off of Amazon, getting my books off of Amazon, Barnes and Noble, and other retailers where there still was some competition. But it wasn't an issue. I mean, you got something, you didn't like it, you sent it back, and nobody really cared. And as Murat said, these companies mastered and also altered their entire supply chain to handle this volume of returns. Of course, the fashion brands started doing the same. So as Murat said, consumers could easily order 10 different shoes, and whichever one didn't fit their feet and didn't suit themselves, they'd send back. As cosmetic retailers and cosmetic brands, you must be losing sleep over this. I mean, how are you going to send batches of lipstick to consumers when then what happens if they don't like it? Will you, as retailers, be willing to accept it? And in this time, can you accept these things back? Jennifer?
So what we've offered our community is just a promise. We're not going to send them a whole bunch of shades to try. And we now have this incredible, these filters that they can play around with on Facebook and Instagram to try all of our lipstick shades prior to purchase. But we then still have the promise that if they did purchase something and they absolutely hate the shade, that we will take it back. We of course have to toss it away. It happens, I'm literally like, it's a handful of times that people have returned stuff there's something about the 24 to 34-year-old consumer that they just keep everything. And and in my understanding, it's they keep it even if they don't like it, from according to like our research and the data that we've collected. So there has been, you know, a handful of consumers that have sent lipsticks back. We ship them another shade, and just promised. So it's our promise, our guarantee that if you purchase it and you hate it, you have 7 days to tell us, and you can get a new one. And we just you obviously have to incorporate that into your cost structure.
John, I doubt that your stores, I mean, when I were to come into your back, this is when before even the virus was an issue, if I were to come into one of your stores and buy a shade of nail polish, if I went back home, opened it and applied and didn't like it, could I return the nail polish to you the next day in the store? I mean, was that even a norm, or that just didn't happen, therefore it's not an issue now with online retail for you?
Interestingly, on the one hand, we are increasing our level of hygiene in terms of the way we operate. Like, you know, at the stores, you know, we have the hygienic liquids, and then we have the masks. We don't do testers. We only take one person in one square meter, whatever. So there are these guidelines. On the other hand, we haven't changed anything about our return policy so far, but neither us and nor anybody. So I think in the near future, this could be an area, topic that we need to consider, but it depends on the second wave, third wave, and the more upcoming things. Because, you know, in some products, there were still, before pandemic, there were protection. Again, for example, you know, I was coming from a different industry before. I was doing laundry business. So when you do laundry, it has its own rules, and also in makeup, it has its own rules. So it hasn't changed so far, but it may have changed if this pandemic continues, and if there would be a public awareness or agenda that it transfers from one product to another. Then governments and companies could consider to restrict on returns and things like that. Because on the one hand, return is a freedom. It's your right. But on the other hand, when your right starts and somebody else's has ended, so it needs to be we need to find a solution. But for now, the return policy is the same. So nothing has changed. Of course, we are regulating under European standards, but there is no extra cautious or precautions on the return policy so far.
So, as Jennifer pointed out, I guess, I mean, it's safe to assume if the consumer is satisfied with their virtual try on, as it were, and the end product also mimics what you've seen on the large screen or on your telephone screen, then of course the return rate would be reasonably lower. This, of course, this technology, or the development of technologies in this field well, these have to become all the more important, I guess, and they play a greater role. And augmented reality opens up this immense new universe to us, where we can play around with it, not only have fun with these ridiculous filters that everybody's so enamored with, but we can also make some use of it. Rather than just have floppy ears on top of our heads, we can actually see products on our hands, on our wrists, on our faces, shades and different shades, different colors, and make our purchasing decision based on what we see. This development, Ryan, I mean, I know, because I am peripherally involved with you guys. I know that you're spending a lot of time trying to perfect this. I mean, there must be some trick that allows you to mimic real colors more than your next best competitor.
Yes. So let me go through a little bit about the you talked about the shopping malls in Brazil, how the experience is crazy and people are crazy about the shopping malls in Brazil. It's just a parenthesis. The people were so wanting to go to the shopping malls here in Brazil that they were making protests and riots, asking for malls to open because, you know, they were desperate to go to the shopping malls. So while the shopping malls were closed, some essential business were open, like construction, materials, all these kind of things. So I went to the construction material place because I had to buy some stuff for refurbishing my apartment. And there were families just wandering in this construction shopping because, you know, it was what was open. And one of the shopping malls in Brazil, they had the aisle were so wide that what they did is they create like a kind of drive-through inside of the shopping mall. So you could go with your car inside of the shopping mall and stop by the stores. But, you know, then the problem kept the same because you were putting a lot of people inside of a closed space. So the government had to, you know, step in and say, guys, you cannot do it. You know, this is not how you're going to operate. So yeah, in Brazil, the shopping malls, people were desperate to go back to this. But then what Murat was saying, it totally makes sense. He was mentioning how some people were exclusively on the offline, like my parents, for instance. They were not making purchases online. And now my mom has made more online purchases this month than I did myself. And she's enjoying that. Now she says, okay, I have this app, I tap in the app, you know, I buy here, my goods are coming to my place and I don't have fraud and all this kind of things. So she's feeling secure and safe to make these online shopping now. So I think this will add a lot of new consumers to the online places, but yet people, they are desperate, like Chan said, to have the social experience of going out. So the shopping malls, they are full in Brazil. So last Saturday was the first weekend when the restaurants were open again. They had some policies about the number of people to go inside of the restaurants, but there were a huge queue outside of the restaurants. You know, everyone was trying to get into these stores. But going back to the AR, so AR definitely supports the experience of virtually trying on the products. One of the things that we use to make this experience very real, and what we can say is that today we can make like a person wearing a real makeup versus a virtual makeup, we reach a likeness of 80%, 85%. So for us men, which don't have the eyes to differentiate shades very much, we see that it's 100%. When you show the pictures to women, they say, hey, this shade is not perfect. There's a little bit here, but you know, in average, in the researches we have made, the technology we have developed, we reach 80 to 85% of realism in this sense. And one thing that augmented reality, it's going to support what I think Murat also said, is the omni-channel strategies, because now it's not one thing about versus the other, like online versus the offline. People, they want to have the reach of the brands or whatever they want in the convenience they want. So I might be in the way station or at the back. I want to access the brand. I want you to have access to what I want in these places. So what virtual reality can bring is not only the experience in the store for like virtually trying on makeup in the store. Let's say a woman goes to the store, she wants to try out 5 colors of lipsticks. It's kind of a pain because she has to put one lipstick and then put another one to see the colors, or a combination of colors with the eyeshadows and all these kind of things. So today we can put a smart screen in store and she can try many different combinations of makeups easily and fast without having to touch the product. Also, we can give this experience through the online channels like the app or the e-commerce, but also we are starting to release some new channels for instance, we have some applications that you can put in the elevator, or like I said, at the back seat of the Uber, you have screens in the elevator or in the back seat of the Uber where consumers are there. They have time and they are trying out products. And then from there, they can scan a code and go to with the mobile, they can go to the product page or to the checkout page in their mobile. So they are switching the journey from one channel to another. So this is giving a whole new word to the omni-channel strategies for the brands. And yeah, but going back to the AR, what makes us unique in terms of quality is that instead of placing some virtual assets on top of an image, we have mastered the technology where we understand the lighting and the pixels of the image. So what we do, instead of putting a virtual asset on top of the image, we manipulate the pixels in the image, changing the colors. So by doing that, we can adjust the shade exactly to what the person is seeing in their screen, with the lighting, with the shades, with the shadows and all this kind of things. So, and this is giving the realism for very high, especially for makeup and sunglasses. When we go to the fashion for, like say, for clothes, I believe that we still have years to perfect and master this technology, because let's say a t-shirt, you have all the, all the fitting of the clothes to different bodies, and when you move, the cloth moves with you. So you have a lot of dynamics in that. When we're talking about a shoe or a hat or ring or a makeup, it's a still product. So it's, I can say it's nearly to perfection right now.
That's good. I mean, from now on, we can try everything on our phones. See, especially if I wanted to wear a hat, which I probably should. It's windy and my hair gets tousled, so I should put on a hat. Maybe I'll do my next round of hat shopping through one of your smart apps to do that. With AR, AR is a tool that's here to stay, and there seems to be some benefit to them. Obviously, there is a benefit to it. Otherwise, we wouldn't be here discussing it. Has anybody actually measured how beneficial it is? I mean, with the application of AR, do you actually reduce returns? Do you convert larger? Do you have a higher conversion rate into sales? Basic KPIs like that. Anybody who's applied AR.
I think that I think from all the guys speaking here, I think Jenny is the one who is trying it right now, right, Jen?
Yeah, so we have definitely seen an increase in sales since we started using the application. And it's just this, this is just an incredible tool, an added asset to a brand that is already focused on their community. It's just bringing them something that makes the experience better and easier. And it's so true. We will never replace the human-to-human contact that comes with an in-store experience with AR. But when you have humans and brands building it or working on it that are truly engaged and understand their community, that's where the real magic can happen, because then you're providing your community with the ultimate experience that they're expecting. And when I'm thinking about like Jen said, who is this generation that is going to garner all the purchasing power in the near future, these people, this community truly cares about the world that they live in, and they want to see massive change. And augmented reality is truly going to help us provide that for them. And just for us as a brand, my communities, Indigenous people, are a lot of times come from the most marginalized, impoverished communities. Our price point falls under like the masstige range. And what this feature has been able to do, which evokes a lot of emotion in me, is given some youth that could possibly might not afford my lipstick to be able to try it on, wear it, and share it in their stories, and then be a part of our community, because we're then sharing what what they can do using it. So not only the great experience for the people that want to purchase a color to try it on and check it out, but it's democratizing beauty. Like I absolutely love this, and I love where the future of beauty is definitely going.
We've received a interesting online question. I don't know if you can see it. I'll try to address it to all of us, all of you, all of our panel. It's from Mahesh. Sorry. John proposes to answer this. The question was basically with an ever increasing effectiveness of AR representation of makeup. Is there a threat for real makeup? I mean, will real makeup artists be replaced by computers and robots? John, would you like to elaborate on that answer?
Indeed, I already did. It's like Black Mirror scene, huh? I mean, you know, one day you won't need any of our products. Maybe, you know, also plastic surgery, you know, it would become like a digital modification. So maybe we will see these days, we will not be able to see these times, but why not? I mean, it could happen. Because when the augmented reality becomes so real, then you won't need these products. You know, in the painting history back then, you know, there were a time that painters would try to do real looking pictures in terms of texture and, you know, all the portraits. And then suddenly that era has stopped because they started to do unrealistic pictures and more images, because then the photography came. So when there's photography, you don't need to make realistic painting. So I think this is like a metaphoric issue like that. So I don't know, maybe in next 50 years.
Well, I mean, yes, I do believe there whenever we have a screen in between us, we might use technology, yes. But to put your products and your companies at ease, all of our beauty companies involved, humans are a social animal. So no matter how distant we get, inevitably we will need to touch each other, metaphorically, hopefully all in the right proper way. But I mean, whenever we are in the proximity to each other, the need to augment one's appearance is perpetual. I mean, makeup has been used since ancient times. The ancient Egyptians had makeup. And we know that indigenous peoples all around the world used different forms of makeup. You had the Aborigines use various different types of sort of applications. We know rather tragically of the comical effect that they portrayed in most recently, but the indigenous people of the Americas had various different applications on their faces, on their bodies. We know that body painting and body augmentation is widely used in even the most rural communities in Africa or the Amazonas, for example. So there is this constant need to use the human body as a canvas, no matter what, as long as we keep away from these LCD screens, or OLED screens rather. So yes, maybe future, even now as we're using Zoom has this feature to self-correct the image, I believe. So I don't know if mine's on, but yeah. So whenever we look at a lens and there's some sort of processor behind it, I guess computers are trying to make us look as best as we can. But once we get away from it, then good, hard, old style applications of makeup, and dyes and wonderful powders, creams, all sorts of augmenting elements, even fragrances.
If I may add a little
Well,
bit to the discussion, I really believe that the industry is not in jeopardy, but there's one thing that might be a turning point, and this would be the AR glasses. So one thing that the technology gurus are predicting is that whenever the AR glasses are, you know, truly picking up, we could make augmented things on the go. So let's imagine you are wearing a white t-shirt or you don't have any makeup on, but you choose to have a specific makeup or a specific t-shirt with a specific stamp to people wearing the AR glasses. So whenever I look at you and I have my glasses on, I will see you with this specific makeup or wearing a different cloth or whatever, you know. Same thing for looking to the facades of buildings. I could be looking at something through the AR, through the glasses, and whenever I remove the glasses, it's another thing. It's the real thing. So I don't think it's the cosmetic is in jeopardy. Like you said, it's something that is ancient, but I think there will be a turning point to that. So,
well, now we're going into fun territory. Two interesting examples to that. Everyone remembers the Pokemon Go craze. So there was a point, some ideas about, you know, when you're looking even around at billboards in real life, when you look at it through an augmented reality or a phone, the billboard changes to the competitor's ad, etc.
yeah.
So those things, like you mentioned, changing of colors of your T-shirt, of your makeup, etc., are most likely gonna come. Even to take that more, even further, why not? Just like the traditional photography to digital photography, that change from film to digital chipsets, etc. And then not so distant future, you can have pigment implantation that goes into your skin or your lip, and with your through your smartphone, you can change the color of your lip maybe instead of putting on a lipstick. Who knows if those things are going to come? It's just going to be a matter of innovation, keeping up to speed, being agile, and you know, I don't want to call out other companies, but some companies adapted. Kodak, I was in Rochester in those years, so I remember pretty closely couldn't adapt, and the industry changed. So we'll see what the future brings.
So Murat, I love your point. So sorry, I just need to comment that. So what you have told me, it's or told to us right now, it reminds me of very good managers and executives and visionaries. Because one thing is for a cosmetic industry to have as a goal to sell cosmetic. The other thing is to put on makeup on people, and doesn't matter how. So if a manager or executive or a visionary has a vision like yours right now, instead of thinking only, okay, I need to produce the cosmetic, the vision becomes to how can I paint the skin of a person? And then it could be with AR, it could be with the self-pigmentation with some new technology that doesn't exist right now. So then this kind of person like you right now, it's at the edge of the transformation and are leading this new technology, and are very unlikely to be left behind, because understand is the concept of giving the experience for the consumers and applying different technologies to achieve that.
Before we sort of descend down the hall of Black Mirror and go into further futuristic obscurities, I'll try to sort of get us back. I mean, we've turned just over an hour. Maybe let's keep it going for another 15 minutes and then let everybody off. Maybe Ryan will need to attend to the little prince. I know it's rather early over where Jennifer is as well, and us in Turkey, we might need to get our afternoon tea going. Now, one thing that struck me personally, I happened to be in the US around 9/11, and of course back then the big issue was nobody's ever going to fly again. The whole uh, air travel industry has collapsed. No essential travel will ever be done again. And what I did realize was we adapted. I mean, initially the airplane food was scrapped, as it is now. Then forks and knives were gone. We used plastic spoons to eat our wonderful airplane dishes. But people started flying again. It took some time, but they did. Besides advising Rayan and Onur and Buran, one of my clients is in the tourism industry, and one thing that we've realized is very quickly, and this is very updated now, as soon as you lift the barrier on travel, some people inevitably are going to get on planes and start traveling again, even on holidays. So places that people associate to be hotspots for transmission. I mean, hotels and buffets and all other sorts of things. Early on, John had mentioned maybe we'll have to consider getting certified cleanliness certified areas, especially designated areas. The tourism industry has done that. They've decided to apply particular measures, countermeasures, and get certified. So these hotels operate under new guidelines, and they try to keep safe. But no matter how different, I mean, bear in mind, we are 8 billion people, and some volume of consumers will always be willing to consume where some others are not consuming. So there's always a marketplace for whatever is being sort of demonized or pushed away. So my 2 cents for the future is we just have to brace ourselves, sit tight, keep our calm, and try to adapt with these high tides, low tides, and coming waves, and hope to navigate the ships, navigate our ships, i.e. our companies, the best way we can without capsizing, and hopefully we'll stay afloat and emerge on the other side to sunnier skies and more profitable skies. As a financial expert, for me, the bottom line is always profit, profit, profit. Of course, conscious profit. Now, we don't want to destroy the world. We want sustained and long-lasting profit for the communities that we serve and we operate within. So we just have another question.
We can't hear you. I think your mic has turned off.
Sorry.
That's good.
This is from Mahesh again. I think he's a retail consultant. Would there be a good scope for this to actually consume again? Oh, I think if I'm understanding this question, with this greater application of technology and augmented reality and sorts, does this allow for greater measurement of customer behavior and allow for the analytics of thereof? John and Murat, of course, Murat with your e-retail experience. I mean, with the introduction of new technologies that have some sort of metrics associated with it, this augmented reality as well, or the application of a hybrid of augmented reality, opens up and should open up an immense new world of further data, shouldn't it?
Yes, naturally, the behavior is changing, the consumer journey is changing, the touch points are changing, the interactions are changing. So we're going to have a whole new set of conversion funnels and KPIs to measure how these things actually work. We're going to have to do a lot of A/B testing. We're going to have to do a lot of product specific ideas. One thing I remember from my previous years is this wonderful example from Zappos, for example, in the US. Once they were able to put fit information, you know, fits one size small, fits like advertised, fits one size big, etc. Information, and once they were able to manage up to scale on those models, their return percentages dropped 50% almost. So likewise, as we are beginning to measure in-store activity plus online activity, which areas the consumers go to, which products they touch, which products they can try on, which products they can engage to, virtual selling consultants, etc., online, offline, and which methods convert better or come up with better reviews or ultimately cause less consumer care contacts, etc. All of those are going to become immensely important, and that's going to create a whole new set of reporting paradigms and data analysis paradigms too. The old market research templates or the old KPI reporting templates are going to become obsolete very quickly.
John, can I have your input on this as well? And then I'll make a final round of last comments, as it were.
Sure. Again, a couple days ago, I was on the field and I was visiting a store and trying to make an active sales. The most challenging part of in makeup, doing sales without touching people is very hard. Because by nature, makeup is a very personal thing. When you are selling makeup, it is either at the store or at the at home or in a professional studio. There's always this, you know, you have your tools when you are not able to explain that that shade would be wonderful on you, you always apply. So now you cannot apply. So the one thing, you know, that people are trying to do, and it could be an answer to the retailers and to our attendee on the question. So we need to find a way within the retail environment how to make self-service sales. I mean, to increase the productivity on self-service sales. So is it just by watching a video or having an augmented reality application? But also it's a new skill set that without applying the product, how you can convince your customer by just telling the story. So this lipstick shade will be great on you, and I think it will be great on your next Zoom interview, but I cannot try it on you. So what I can give you a sample, I can give you a sachet, or I can, you know, we need to find this way. And it's really challenging to explain it without having this application bullet on your hand. So I am more on your side. At the end, we are going to adapt ourselves, and we will continue to try things like we do past, but it would be changed a little bit. So we will see. It would be something in between. This is what I believe.
So thank you very much, John and Murat, for that answer. Now, not to take up too much more of your time, let's go for a final round of final thoughts. Any last comments you would have? Jennifer, let's start off with you.
Uh, yeah, first, thanks for having me and inviting me today. This has been truly a privilege and to listen to these gentlemen and their enormous amount of expertise, which I am certainly very new in this industry. Started this only 4 years ago with no experience in the beauty space, so it's been quite the journey. So it's an honor to uh, hear from them. My final thought would be I envisioned creating this brand in a pillar or a segment of the beauty industry that does not yet exist, called socially conscious beauty. And the reason we did that was what everyone's talking about. The reason why successful big companies like Avon has worked in history, or Estee Lauder, Mary Kay, any of these brands where it was women, the beauty counters that we see around the world, it was that connection that's created from women, and what it evokes is good feelings on both parties, whether it be the one selling it or the one purchasing it. And to eliminate the idea of even sampling when we created this business was, how do we make people feel good about what they're doing? And for us as a brand, that was creating a brand that is socially conscious. So caring about a community of people, giving back to those organizations that we support through donations. And then that in turn, all the emails and direct messages I get from my customers is, it just feels so good to buy your lipstick. Not only is it an incredible product, but we know that the work that your brand puts into supporting Indigenous people and marginalized communities. So I feel like we're doing a great job at discovering this new pillar that I want to see more of around the world. So, and we're going to use every technology that comes our way to help our consumers have the best experience possible. So thank you so much.
I mean, with the risk of sounding like self-promoting or even promotion to some extent, Jennifer, would you care to share with us and the participants the website, your website, the address to your website?
Yes, it's cheekbonebeauty.com. So all one word, spelled regularly like cheekbones, cheekbonebeauty.com. But thank you very much. I really appreciate that.
You're welcome. So all the interested participants can check out cheekbonebeauty.com and read the story and read the inspiring story behind it. And I strongly recommend it. I had a look as well just before. Ryan, your final thoughts.
Well, I am the tech guy here, so it was a privilege to see these gurus from the beauty speaking and get insights. It's very inspiring to see you guys, exposing all the knowledge and the visions you guys have. From the technology point of view, I think is the lesson here. It's not all 0 or 100. It's something in between. So it's always about the balance. So I think technology, and this should be something that everyone should understand. Technology is not an end. Technology it's a path to achieve an end, to deliver experience for the users, to create benefits for society as a whole. Sometimes I have customers, they approach me and they say, I want to make technology. So my question is, so why do you want to make technology? Or what do you want to do with the technology? Oh, I need to have AR. So why do you need AR? So I think there's a confusion right now about having to have technology. And the lesson that was led here for all the participants is technology is only a means to achieve something else. And also, again, the conclusion is, it's not about online versus offline. It's a mix in between, and giving all the consumers the possibilities. And the technology is here only to help and support this kind of strategies. So once again, thank you all. It was a huge privilege. It's very inspiring to listen to you guys.
So for somebody who's in the tech field and who's the tech guy on the panel, the view is the future holds non-binary solution.
I think that's for sure. Yeah, I think it's humans are humans. The physical contact is always the physical contact, and technology is here just to enhance these experiences.
Sure. So let's keep on the scale. John, your final comments.
Thank you very much. First of all, for this webinar. It's very fruitful. And I am very happy to meet Ryan and Jennifer, and also seeing Murat here. As Ryan said, technology or innovation is not something about newness, it's finding solutions. So now we have a problem, which is pandemic, and we need to find a solution, either using technology or not using technology, but to increase sales, and as you said, to be assuring the bottom line, which is profits, right? Conscious profits, of course. So I think the future is going to be fun, because whatever you do, if you like what you do, the challenges becomes just your tools to play. The most important question, at least I'm asking for myself as a professional, because I'm not an entrepreneur, am I going to keep my job or should I adapt myself? Because, you know, in the next couple of years, maybe they wouldn't need a marketing director or a specialist, because you can give the answers through using the big data analyzing. So I need to find that answer, and I need to find it tomorrow, because I have a little daughter. She's 4, so I need to be on the business for a while. So thank you very much, and thank you for the participants. And always open your questions, not just now, but also for tomorrow and the days after. Thank you so much.
Again, sounding cheesy. Your company's website, Jan? If you want to direct people to the company's website.
Of course. Flormar.com. You can always access me through LinkedIn, through flormar.com, or it's available. My information is everywhere.
Brilliant. Murat, your turn.
Hi. Yeah, like all the other participants, thank you very much for having us. It was a fun hour and a half, and very enjoyable discussion and thoughts all around. Purely from an intellectual perspective, some exciting and fun times ahead. More from a human perspective, also scary times ahead. Uncertainty is always somewhat scary as well. But we're at the verge of some significant changes to our lifestyles and our work styles as well. So how that's going to shape our world and our lifestyle over the next couple of years, maybe even more. We're sort of, I wouldn't call it lucky, but in a unique position to see this and experience this change in the world. So let's see what happens. Hope for the best.
Thank you very much, Murat. Yes, I mean it was definitely enlightening and very illuminative. I hope I didn't make a hash of myself, a hash of it rather. It was a pleasure, and it was an honor to try to host such knowledgeable guests and inspiring guests as well. As Murat pointed out, we've hit the 90-minute mark, so let's call it a day. Thank you all again. Thanks to all of the participants and viewers, and hopefully we'll get to see each other in another pertinent webinar. All right then. Good night. Good day. Good night. Obrigado. Thank you. Bye bye.
Goodbye, everyone.
Ciao, ciao.